Welcome to Kernels. My name is Sam Bouwers. I'm the consultant for continuing education here at the State Library of Iowa, and I'm joined today by Becky Bilby, director at the Sioux Center Public Library in Sioux Center, Iowa. Let me tell you a little bit about Kernels. Kernels is an ongoing series of short videos from the State Library of Iowa. Each installment is a small pop of professional development that gets right to the core of a library program, service, or methodology applied in a public library setting. We've got in-practice librarians talking about their work so that you all out in the field can learn from their experiences. We've got these on our YouTube channel. Maybe you're watching there today. There's a whole playlist of them. Check them all out. We've also got them in Iowa Learns so that our Iowa librarians can earn a half hour of continuing ed credit for watching after you complete the evaluation. More info on how to do that in Iowa Learns. We've also got them on our website, so very findable. We've got contact info, handouts, resource lists. You'll find it all there. All that and more in the description of today's video. Today, Becky is here to tell us about how her library is using Cloud Library, a service from Biblioteca. So Becky, I'm going to pull up your slides and then feel free to take it away.
All right. You tell me, oh, I guess I can see. I was going to say, you tell me when they're up. So there we go. So I spoke at ARSL this year, and it prompted this video on products that you might find helpful for your library like we have. They're products that Biblioteca does sell. And while this is not a sales pitch, it might be things that prompt other libraries to think about, oh, would any part of this work for us like it has for Sioux Center? So how about the next slide, Sam? We're going to talk about 3 modules, and they're all within one app on your phone or your device, but they're 3 separate pieces. So there's the Cloud Library Assist, there's Cloud Library Checkout, and there's Cloud Library Content. We started with Cloud Library Checkout, and we added the other 2 modules later, but they are just so highly used at our library. I kind of brag about them all the time. Libraries could say, I only want to use one of these modules, or I choose 2, or I'm going to use all 3. It doesn't matter. They're turned on the back end. It's pretty seamless, and like patrons wouldn't even know that you weren't using all of them. So one of the things that all of the modules have the capability to do that our patrons love is a mom could have an account. I'm just using a mom for an example. It could be a dad too. They have their account, and let's say they have 3 kids who all have library cards, but it's hard to keep track of all of those. So they can load each of those library cards into the app and see with a glance when everything is due. They can hit renew. It's just kind of a nice feature that's embedded in all 3 of these. So on the next slide, I'll talk to you about the first little module, which is Cloud Library Assist. And this is kind of like, I remember it kind of like an assistant in my pocket. And this module is if you have their self-checkout machine, which we added early on in my time at Sioux Center. We wanted a self-checkout. Little did we know that in the time of coronavirus, we would need a self-checkout. So it's wonderful to have. And since we have that, we have this app that our patrons can use to renew items within the app. And the beautiful thing is it includes physical and digital items, so they can renew everything at one screen. There is also a little toggle you can turn on, and Novelist can give recommendations to your patrons while they're looking up a title or checking out a title, which is kind of fun too. I'm going to talk about the book bag feature that's also a part of this in just a second. But this is a free app that you can use if you, like I said, have the self-checkout and you're on a maintenance agreement. So that's all that's involved. Pretty simple for them to set up for you. Basically, you can get receipts this way. You can be reminded to return items. And let me show you this packing, which is on the next screen. So you know how it is. You have patrons who have 30 some items to get back to the library. They show up and they're missing 2. And you're like, oh yeah, we have to go back home and find those. So this portion of the app shows everything that's out, and they click on that little blue button that says packet when they add the book to their library bag. And then when everything turns green, you know they have all of their items in their bag. It's kind of just slick, and like I said, our patrons do love this.
Now,
So,
Becky, let me just jump in with a question. Is this is kind of where too you would see all your kids' books in one spot at this point to say, okay, my oldest has these 5 early readers checked out, and the baby's got 50 storybooks. So you'd see them all together.
you got it. Yep. We just have people who just love this because, yeah, invariably it's a lot to keep track of: school books, library books, and it's all right there in the list. So they love that.
Very cool.
So the next slide is the Cloud Library checkout feature. And this is kind of what prompted this little kernel, because this module, like I said, you can turn on one or all 3. This allows patrons to check out on their phone. And I felt like when I first started talking about this, 2 years ago, when it first went live, I thought we were like kind of revolutionary at our library because we had this. I have since found out after we reopened, after some coronavirus downtime, our ILS, which is Book Systems, contacted us and said, we have a mobile checkout that you can use on your phone for, I don't remember how much it cost, but they could turn it on for you. We already had this, so we didn't turn that on, but here's a little plug. If it's something that you want to use, check your ILS. Maybe they already have it and you can just turn that on. And that's what I found out digging in here a little bit. So this is checking out using your phone. I'm going to show you in a minute on this slide what that looks like, but it really is as simple as scanning a barcode and the items pop up for checkout. It's quite amazing, I think. We do not have security at Sioux Center, but if your library did have a security system, they hook into that and it disables the items that you check out so that they wouldn't set off an alarm at the door. The cost of this to use is based on how many branches you have. So for us, we don't have any. It was just based on our population. So even a smaller lib who's worried about costs and we don't have a huge budget, this is based on your population. So it could be doable for a lot of different size libraries. So let me show you the next screen, what that looks like. So they're really just scanning that barcode, as easy as it looks. All of the items pop up in that auto-generated list and they click right on the bottom where it says checkout. Our usage on this has almost, I think I'm correct in saying almost tripled since coronavirus reopening. We had some people who loved it at first and used it every time, but let's be honest, those early adopters of this were probably our teens, our millennials, our 20-somethings. They were coming in and using this, but now we have a lot of people using it. So I don't know, Sam, if you could turn on this little video that Cloud Library made for us, if that works well here.
You bet. So stay tuned, folks. We'll have this video playing for you.
So that was just kind of a fun little video that they made to help promote for them, but we get to use it as well. So that's a bonus. So here's the last section, and this is the Cloud Library content. And this is what got us started on Cloud Library. I won't speak about this very long, but I'm just gonna say, when I first was hired a little over 10 years ago now in Sioux Center, almost all of my board checked out ebooks. I couldn't believe it. I have this amazing board that that loved to use ebooks, and they were all using Overdrive. And I'm just going to say, I love Overdrive. I think it's a great product. I'm so thankful the state allows us to share that. But let's be honest, when you've got 500 libraries using Overdrive, that can create some really long hold times. So my board challenged me and said, Becky, the first thing we want you to do is find another ebook solution. So we did pay the money to add a second e-content app, and that was Cloud Library. And this portion is the portion of their app that you would use to check out ebooks and audiobooks. Works the same as Overdrive or other apps that you might already use. You still have the same titles available to you because that's set on publisher, not by app or company that you go with. So same content, same publisher restrictions that Overdrive has. But Cloud Library has this really great back-end feature called pay per use that they can turn on if you so choose. You don't have to, but I do. I set ahead of time the parameters. So I can say, we're going to spend $200 a month. And I'm not going to let my patrons check out anything that's over $3 a title. That's too much. We don't want to go with any of the $10 titles, just $3 max. They click a button and all of a sudden thousands of more titles of books are open to our patrons. So this pay-per-use is a great tool. Again, I don't have to worry about going over my budget because I set that ahead of time. So this is in there. The shelves that you see on the screen are little digital shelves that they set up for you within the app. They curate those for you monthly. I can curate my own, and it's just a really fast way for patrons to find things they might be looking for. I said before, you can turn on Novelist in here. They can get book recommendations. It really is quite handy. My favorite story about this is because of the ability to renew any items you have checked out, physical or digital, we often tell our patrons to just load this app on their phones to renew their physical books. It's just slick and easy. And we had a lady who did that and said, well, I found ebooks in here and now I'm reading ebooks. And I think, great, she discovered that. So perfect. Well, that's great. So this is set up as an annual fee based on your population. And then obviously you pay for any content you purchase within the app. I will say though that there's a really great feature called Cloud Link. And for, I think it's $100, I can turn that on and join with any Iowa libraries who choose to share their cloud with me. And again, it kind of works like it might in Overdrive when you have an Advantage collection. You choose titles, you either choose to share or not to share. In Cloud Library, they will show up on everyone's content as long as they are not in use by my patrons, or if my patrons don't have a hold on them, then anyone who shares a cloud with me can see them. And I love that. I think there's 4 or 5 libraries in Iowa that use Cloud Library, but you know, the more the merrier. We can start sharing our titles. So that's the checkout feature. And the next slide is a little favorite feature that I'm going to throw out at you because it's included with your ebook or e-audio module, the checkout module. These are messages. And at the beginning of every month, I go into my calendar and I choose what do I think are my biggies to get out to patrons this month. And then I pre-populate them inside of the app. And I tell them what day I want them to go live, what I want them to say. It's just a great little, your patrons open the app and woo, there's a message from Becky. So I hope they all say, made my day, I'm gonna read it, but I don't know what they say. So we use it for things like program reminders, maybe change in hours, holidays coming up. And during COVID-19, huge. All of the times we changed procedures, we shot them through on here as a notice. So that was really helpful. So on the next slide, it just shows you again the 3 modules. Just going to remind you, you can choose 1, you could choose 2 or 3. There's no limit to how you set that up. Our patrons feel like this is one of our best investments. So that's why I'm always happy to pass on helpful info when I can. And on the last slide, I would love to help you guys. If you had a quick question, I can answer a lot of things, but not everything. But I did include our Iowa rep for Biblioteca, just in case you want to go straight to her and skip me. I obviously am only limited help, but she's great and that's her information. So I hope this was helpful.
This is great, Becky. Yeah, thanks. To me, it almost feels like an alternative to developing your own app for your library.
That's exactly what we've found. Now, would I love it to maybe do a few more things if I were developing my own app? Sure. But to use an outside company, it kind of does what we wanted it to do mostly. So we've been pleased.
And now, as far as, are your patrons having to check 3 spots then? If I want to read All the Light We Cannot See, do I have to check your catalog for your print books and Overdrive for your Bridges copy and Cloud Library for your Cloud Library copy?
That's a great question. Our ILS, book systems, allows, that's all in our catalog. So they can look at the catalog and say, oh, this is in Overdrive, but not Cloud Library, or vice versa. Or it's in both. I'm going to go check out both places. And then the links are in our catalog to both apps. So we hope that helps, because you're right. It is basically 3 different places. So we hope that.
But I love it seems like it's pretty intuitive. Like your patrons are figuring out, like, I can do a lot with this. And
I think the other thing, now this might be true in Overdrive and I just am not familiar with it, but in Cloud Library, our patrons can click on a suggest button and it comes to me as an email and says, Becky, a patron wants to read this. I really do love that, because it's helpful to know what they want to read. So if that's in Overdrive, forgive me, I'm not sure, but it is a great tool in Cloud Library, and it's where I get all of my patron suggestions. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the pushing out message features. It's kind of, again, just like that, an extra, someone might be going to that app anyway as they get ready to go to the library. They might not be going to your Facebook page or your website. But, I'm packing up my books and I want to check to see, am I going to need my mask, or am I going to be able to even go in, whatever the case might be. So
exactly.
Check all that right there. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you've had good usage. And good feedback.
Usage. It is one of our, I would say it rivals Overdrive in usage, but Overdrive will always lead the way because we started with it and that's what people are comfortable with, but it has a really great usage. And it's the one where patrons will come in and say, that Cloud Library app is so easy. Yes, it is. It's where we like to start our beginners. It's just really intuitive. So,
well, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
This
is really exciting stuff going on in Sioux Center. So again, if you're watching this today for Continuing Ed and Iowa Learns, there'll be an evaluation following our time here together. And we've got, we'll put a link to the Biblioteca video down in the description, so check that out. If you're doing something at your library, a program, initiative, service, something else that you think would make a great kernel, we want to hear about it. Reach out and tell us all about it. We'll have my contact info and Becky's contact info coming up here on the last slide. So thanks for watching, everyone, and many thanks to Becky. So take care.